This is Chapter 5, Employee Motivation. Employee engagement drives and needs. Employee engagement can be defined as an individual's emotional and cognitive motivation. It could sometimes be a focused, persistent effort towards work-related goals. It includes a high level of absorption in the workplace. Drives are universal and innate brain function that produce emotions that energize individuals to act on their environments. Needs, goal-oriented forces that people experience. Drives and needs influence goal-directed behavior. An individual's difference in needs can be affected by their values, personality, social norms, and past experiences. People who see themselves as being highly sociable often crave social interaction if left alone for a while, whereas those who are less sociable experience a less intense need for social interaction. Socialization and reinforcement also cause people to alter their self-concept. Maslow's needs hierarchy theory. The Maslow's need hierarchy theory consists of 5 different levels of theories. The first one, psychological needs, which are the basic needs for food, air, water, and shelter. The safety needs, which are the need for security, safety, and a stable environment. Belongingness needs, which is the need for love, affection, and relationships. Esteem needs, which is the need for self-esteem through personal achievement and recognition. Self-actualization need, which is the need for self-fulfillment and the achievement of one's full potential. The strong connection between our values and our needs imply that hierarchy of needs is very important to each person, in the sense that what may be at the top of one person's need may not necessarily be at the top of someone else's need. Learned needs theory. Need for achievement is the drive to excel. High achievers love taking challenging goals on their own, love working alone, and are risk takers. The need for affiliation. This is the desire for friendliness, close relationships, companionships, and social approval. The need for power. This is the desire to always be in control, competitive, and more concerned with prestige and gaining influence. When one of these needs are strong in a person at a particular time, it has the potential to motivate behavior that leads to its satisfaction. It is therefore important for managers to find out how many of the needs their employees have, and how their jobs can be structured to satisfy them based on those needs. The 4 drive theory. These are the drive to acquire, the drive to bond, the drive to defend, and the drive to learn or comprehend. The drive to acquire is a drive that obtains scarce good, including intangibles such as social status. The drive to bond is the bond that forms connection with individuals and groups. The drive to comprehend or learn is a drive that likes to satisfy our curiosity and master the world around us. And the drive to defend is a drive that protects against external threats and promotes justice. The 4 drive theory is also known to determine which emotions are tagged to incoming stimuli. The emotions from the 4 drives often motivate us to act and choose actions that are acceptable to society and our moral compass.
Expectancy theory is a motivation theory based on the idea that work effort is directed towards behaviors that people believe will lead to desired outcomes. This model is based on the rationale of predicting the direction, level, and persistence of motivation. In essence, the core of this theory proves that people are motivated to achieve goals with the highest expected payoff. The expectancy theory uses three factors to determine an individual's effort level. Effort to performance expectancy, E to P, performance to outcome expectancy, P to O, and outcome valences. E to P expectancy can be summarized as an individual's perception that their effort will result in a particular level of performance. If an employee believes he or she has the ability to accomplish a particular task, this will result in a probability of 1. Conversely, if an employee believes that even with their highest level of effort, a particular task will not produce a desired performance level, this will result in a probability of 0. P to O expectancy is the perceived probability that a certain performance level will lead to a particular outcome. A probability of 1 is achieved when an employee believes that if a particular task is completed, then this will definitely result in a particular outcome. On the other hand, an employee may feel that successful performance will have no effect on the particular outcome. This will be a probability of 0. An outcome valence can be characterized by how an individual anticipates satisfaction of an outcome. A person can anticipate satisfaction or dissatisfaction toward an outcome. This will be a valence. Outcomes can have a positive or negative valence and are based upon the consistency, if positive, and inconsistency, if negative, of our values and satisfaction of our needs. There are two forms of organizational justice: distributive justice and procedural justice. Distributive justice is the perceived fairness in the individual's ratio of outcomes to contributions compared with the other's ratio of outcomes to contributions. Procedural justice is the perceived fairness of the procedures used to decide the distribution of resources. Within the realm of distributive injustice, there are equality, need, and equity principles that should be taken into consideration. The equity principle states that people should be paid in proportion to their contribution. The equity theory goes into deeper detail of this principle. This theory explains how people develop perceptions of fairness in the distribution and exchange of resources. Moreover, employees determine feelings of equity by comparing their own outcome input ratio to the outcome input ratio of someone else. Outcome income ratio is the value of the outcomes you received divided by the value of the inputs you provide in the exchange relationship. Inputs can be skill, effort, reputation, performance, experience, or hours worked. Outcomes are what employees receive from an organization in exchange for the inputs such as pay, promotions, or recognition. Comparison other is usually someone in a similar position, such as a coworker, but could also be someone or a group of people in other jobs, such as CEOs. Goal setting is the process of motivating employees and clarifying their role perceptions by establishing performance objectives. There are 6 key characteristics that goal setting requires: specific goals, relevant goals, challenging goals, goal commitment, goal participation, and goal feedback. Specific goals should be measurable and time-bound, such as increasing new product sales by 20% in the next 3 months. This allows employees to determine levels of change over a specific and relatively short time frame. Relevant goals should be relevant to an individual's job and should be within their control. For example, a goal to reduce customer complaints would have little value if employees do not have direct customer contact or communication availability. Challenging goals instead of easy ones cause employees to raise the intensity and persistence of their work effort. They can also fulfill an employee's achievement or growth needs when the goal is achieved. Implementing stretch goals or goals that employees don't know how to reach increases the need to be creative to achieve them, and they stretch an employee's abilities and motivation. Goal commitment is important, and this is the only way challenging goals are effective. This characteristic is closely related to the expectancy theory. When goals are too challenging, the E to P expectancy of the expectancy theory decreases, and causing employees to be less motivated or committed to accomplishing a goal. Goal participation is encouraged, as participation could potentially create a higher level of goal commitment in comparison to a goal that is solely created by a manager or supervisor. Participation could also improve goal quality because employees have valuable insight and knowledge that may be unknown to those who initially formed the goal. Goal feedback is a vital condition for effective goal setting. Feedback is any information that informs individuals of whether or not they have achieved a goal or are properly directing their effort toward it. Feedback redirects an individual's effort, but it potentially also fulfills growth needs. Feedback through strengths-based coaching is one of the most effective ways to deliver feedback. Strengths-based coaching is a positive organizational behavior approach to coaching and feedback that focuses on building and leveraging the employee's strengths rather than trying to correct their weaknesses. Another variation of strengths-based coaching is called appreciative coaching. Strengths-based coaching is an influential way of motivating because people naturally seek feedback about their strengths and not their flaws. Other sources of feedback are equipment gauges, executive dashboards, customer surveys, feedback from their boss, and multi-source feedback.
So now we're going to look at some job design approaches that increase not only work efficiency, but also work motivation. But first we need to understand what exactly job design is. Job design is the process of assigning tasks to a job, including the interdependency of those tasks with other jobs. In other words, it means finding different ways of assigning tasks to a job to get employees to perform efficiently, but also have them motivated and engaged. We look at two different job design approaches. We have job specialization for work efficiency and motivator hygiene theory for work motivation. First, let's look at job specialization, which is where required work is subdivided into separate jobs assigned to different people. This way is one of the oldest forms of the job design. Job specialization improves work efficiency by requiring fewer skills to accomplish the assigned work, so less resources are needed for training. Also, it improves work efficiency because employees practice their tasks more frequently with shorter work cycles, so jobs are mastered quickly. On the other hand, we look at the motivator hygiene theory, which proposes that employees experience job satisfaction when they fulfill growth and esteem needs, but experience dissatisfaction when they have poor working conditions, job security, and other factors categorized as lower order needs. Frederick Herzberg, who introduced the theory in the 1950s, argued that only characteristics of the job itself motivate employees, whereas the hygiene factors merely prevent dissatisfaction. Two approaches are the scientific management and job characteristics model. Scientific management consists of a toolkit of practices. However, is mainly associated with high levels of job specialization and standardization of tasks to achieve maximum efficiency. Detailed procedures and work practices can significantly improve work efficiency. The job characteristics model identifies 5 core job dimensions that produce 3 psychological states. The 5 core characteristics are skill, variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback from job. The psychological states these characteristics produce are meaningfulness, responsibility, and knowledge of results. These characteristics provide employees with more motivation and satisfaction. So this brings us to job design practices that can motivate. There are 3 main strategies that can increase the motivational potential of jobs. These strategies are job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment. First, job rotation moves employees to different workstations every few hours. By doing this, it potentially reduces the boredom of highly repetitive jobs. Second, job enlargement adds tasks to an existing job. With job enlargement, skill variety increases because there are more tasks to perform. This significantly improves work efficiency and flexibility. Then finally, you have job enrichment, which occurs when employees are given more responsibility for scheduling, coordinating, and planning their own work. Product and service quality tend to improve because job enrichment increases the job holder's felt responsibility and sense of ownership over the product or service.
Empowerment practices. The heart of the job enrichment philosophy is to give employees more autonomy over their work. Empowerment is a management technique that involves giving employees more authority and responsibility over how they perform their work activities. Empowerment presented by four dimensions. Self-determination. Empowered employees feel that they have freedom, independence, and discretion over their work activities. Meaning, employees who feel empowered care about their work and believe that what they do is important. Competence. Empowered people are confident about their ability to perform the work well and have a capacity to grow with new challenges. Impact. Empowered employees view themselves as active participants in the organizations. That is, their decisions and actions influence the company's success. And if any dimension weakness, the employee's sense of empowerment will weaken. Supporting empowerment. Numerous individual, job design, and organizational or work context factors support empowerment. Individual level. At individual level, employees must possess the necessary competence to be able to perform the work as well as handle additional decision-making requirements. Job characteristic. Job characteristics clearly influence the degree to which people feel empowered. Employees are much more likely to experience self-determination when work in job with a high degree of autonomy and minimum bureaucracy control. Organizational and work context factors. Organizational environment and work context factors also influence empowerment. Employees experience more empowerment in organizations where information and other resources are easily accessible. With the right individuals, job characteristics, and organizational environment, empowerment can sustainably improve motivation and performance. For instance, a study of bank employees concluded that empowerment improved customer service and tended to reduce conflict between employees and their supervisors. And another example, a study of nurses reported that empowerment is associated with a higher trust in management, which ultimately influenced job satisfaction, belief in, and acceptance of organizational goals and values. Thank you.